Welcome to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tattooing Network.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Your source for the latest Legion news, opinion, and analysis.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
John Archiquette.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Matt Turner.
I'm not afraid.
And Joshua Gray.
You will be.
What's going on, Outriders? John, Josh, and Matt coming back at you again from the hive of scum and villainy. What's going on, guys?
Hi.
How's it going?
Oh, we got some big news this week.
Big news.
I mean, relatively big news.
Always big news.
The biggest news we've seen in probably about a good month and a half, 2 months, huh?
What would that be?
His test was negative.
Oh. I didn't get that result
I guess
back.
that means I'm clear then, too.
Oh.
Woof.
It's gonna make a lot less phone calls I have to make. No, we got some actual information on both the eWebs and a couple of the cards were revealed.
1.4D, FD.
Yeah,
We've got a release
that's
date
in there.
for eWebs in the tower, so that's good. October 25th.
I was gonna tease it. I was gonna tease it. You're terrible at this radio stuff.
So basically, what you're saying is I ruin everything.
You ruined everything,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah.
You're the fun ruiner.
It's funny you should say that. Because I just started watching, it got dumped on Netflix, the Adam Ruins Everything show.
I did too.
It's so good.
It's amazing.
I've never heard of
however,
it before. Actually, somebody mentioned it, and I don't watch regular TV at all. But
I can only do like 3 episodes at a time before I start getting extremely vitriolic
it's
and just hate
upsetting.
the system.
Yeah, it's upsetting. But that's funny you should say that. Yeah.
We do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
No, but the
what's he using his hair?
I have no idea.
Strong stuff.
It's something about Mary.
Stops
probably.
lightsabers. Oh, ooh.
No, we got the release date for those, and also we got a few of the cards from the
specialist pack.
Specialist pack.
Yeah.
Got spoiled. So
FFG did their official announcement, which is different from their official announcement.
Their
at Gen Con.
sub-official.
Yeah. So we got the article. So we've seen now there is a Rebel Comms specialist is one of the troopers. Pretty basic.
you're terrible at this tease thing. I was just gonna tease it. I was just gonna tease it.
Go ahead.
We don't have time to tease. We've got an extra large episode this week.
We do.
We've got an extra large interview.
And we also have
So-
one of our friends of the show is going to be here today. with us.
He's upgraded now because he's been on twice.
Okay.
So he's a BFF of the show now.
Yes.
Oh, he's a BFF
Yes.
of the show.
Yeah.
What's after BFF of the show?
Well, fiance of the show.
Yeah. Well, no, but then your boyfriend of the show.
Oh, I thought we had already.
And then
declared
it's
that.
that's there's a tier here. Because you don't go from BFFs
What
to
is this,
fiancé.
MySpace?
Yes.
Who's in your top
there's
10?
the top
It's
8.
complicated.
It's top 8, and Tom
Oh,
always has a
whatever.
place in there.
God.
So you really only get 7.
Relationship status. It's complicated.
Are we like a
not that
polygamous organization? Do we have
Sure.
multiple fiancés of the show?
Sure.
Okay, so there's not going to be just one.
Yeah.
This week on Sister Wives.
We're very we're poly here. We're very down with that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just wanted to make sure.
Each one uglier than the next.
All right, but first, before we get further into the specialist cards and the preview for the emplacements, we had a little bit of Star Wars news. Matt, what do we have?
Just a little bit. The Resistance show came out over the weekend.
Yay!
So we're 3 episodes out in the. I know you're very
John
excited.
is
So for
fused.
so unfortunately, because of the
overwhelmed.
nature of Star Wars these days, I can't really go to hey, is this actually being well received? Anecdotally, for the people like in my Galaxy of Heroes Guild and sister show, Radio Free Tattooing, it seems to be being very well received.
Okay, great.
So
The X-Wing
take that
people
for what
are
it's
very,
worth.
The X-Wing folks are very happy.
Yeah,
because
some
we
new
saw-
ships in there.
We
That's
saw,
cool.
We saw a new X-Wing in there, which people are suggesting is the T-85. I don't think it actually is designated in the show. And we also saw the First Order TIE Interceptor. So
That's cool. That's
pretty
super cool.
Yeah.
All right, so it has
None of which has any bearing on Legion, but.
No,
but it has implication in the gaming world, and maybe we'll see ground
Some
forces.
ground
in that
forces
show
and
at some
such.
point.
So
Doesn't mean I'm going to watch it, but I'll have to.
I'll
at least,
let you know. I tried to watch it this morning. I couldn't get my little Disney app to work, so I'll try it again tonight.
It's because you spent all your time watching Hannah Montana, and you used all your hours.
Yeah, that's that is the curse I bear.
were you watching it on a kid's tablet? That might be helpful.
I mean, it was definitely waterproof and chew-proof, so
Oh.
probably.
Well, you leave that around the store often, too, so it has to be chew-proof and waterproof.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, and if it's anywhere around me, it probably needs to be chew-proof. Let's be real here. John, stop eating the iPad.
But there's a picture of a cupcake. That's all you do. Look up baked goods.
All right, let's get back to the emplacements we're going to talk about. So we got the release date for the emplacements. Anything else released with that, or just
Nope,
we
just
know
the day.
that they're
Just,
shipping,
well,
right?
I mean, because we haven't seen preview articles for those yet, or we've seen.
Yeah, we pretty much.
we
I
have
think they
seen
spoiled
We've
everything.
seen the announcements, have they?
Yeah, because we
get
know
the
they're
preview
going to have the
announcements?
turret generators and
Oh,
all that
that's
specialize
right.
the
Yeah, okay.
weapons.
So hard to keep track of all these articles.
No, especially when they're months.
Months
apart,
and months out. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing spoilery. Just when you can play them. But in the interview with LJ, they've been using the towers and the E-webs in Invader League for a while now.
With a big asterisk.
Yeah, so
Stay tuned for the.
Keep it tuned right here to the rest of our interview, and
Not
we'll
going to let you
talk
spoil
about
that one, Josh.
just how useful those are. See, that's how you do a tease, John.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, October 25th, they'll be in your grubby little hands, John.
Nice.
So you can paint up your Rebel Tower.
Satellite dishes.
Yeah.
Satellite of love.
Targeting. Oh, yeah. Targeting dish.
All right, so we got that, and then of course we were talking about the specialists that were
Specialists
previewed.
have been announced, so that's just the announcement, no previews. And generally in the announcements, they don't spoil a whole lot. We had already seen the leaders for each side that you can attach to a squad or run as its own generic commander at the Gen Con announcement. And now they've done they've gone ahead and released one card for the Rebel communication specialist.
Yeah.
Basically, all that allows you to do is it allows you to add a comm slot to a trooper unit.
Ah, okay.
So
because they don't have it native, obviously.
Because they don't have it native. But you also have to include a comm upgrade if you do. So, which makes sense, right? You can't put a comm guy on there and not give him anything to do.
You don't go down to the phone store to buy a phone and no service for it.
Exactly. So it's 9 points for the comm officer. And then, if you put a HQ uplink on it, it's another 10 points for that. But it does allow you to HQ uplink a trooper unit.
That's
or conversely, you don't have to put up HQ uplink. You can also put the comms jammer on there,
right?
Which
you read
makes
that
it kind of
too.
interesting. So, I mean, I like to joke around with Nick Freeman a little bit on the Legion page, and Nick's been so hot this week because he's been throwing out a bunch of these just like joke lists, just to like
got to throw people a curveball periodically, mix it up.
Yeah, but like. He brought that up and he was like, look at this. You just throw all these comm jammers and impact grenades on these trooper units and run them in. And I'm like, I like that. For somebody who likes to mix it up a little bit up close, I'm thinking that's not a bad idea.
The push it forward player.
Yeah. And we'll talk about, kind of the impact that that the officers are having on snowtroopers in LJ's interview. See, that's how you do a tease.
Oh, okay.
Again.
Oh, Radio 101 knowledge. So much knowledge.
Your idea of a tease is wearing a mesh T-shirt out to the bar. I'm not saying it's not working. Yeah.
Well, that's just because it's not working right now.
It's laundry day.
You say tease like there's not the promise of something else coming later.
No.
Don't you threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, it's a 100%. Yeah.
All right. Leaving on that note, we're gonna take a quick break here, and we'll be back with friend of the show, LJ Pena,
BFF of the show.
Tune in every Wednesday to Radio Free Tatooine, a Star Wars podcast that's better than some and worse than others. Take a trip to a water cooler far, far away as we bring some casual, fun conversation into the Star Wars podcasting community. Hosted by me, Sean, my sister Amy, and John. Radio Free Tatooine. We may not know what we're talking about, but we sure know how to record it. For more, visit RadioFreeTatooine.com, a proud member of the Radio Free Tatooine Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tatooine Network, recorded on location at Power 9 Games. Whether you're looking for the latest releases from Legion, X-Wing, 40K, Magic, or any of our other extensive inventory of board and card games, Head to power9games.com and use coupon code OUTRIDER10 to get 10% off your order. Plus, shipping is free on orders over $100. Now, back to the Outriders.
And welcome back, everybody. John, Josh, and Matt. And John, you look different. John, wait, that's not John.
Did he shave again?
I think he did. Only he shaved his head.
Oh. Wait. No.
That's not John.
We have a Pena in the building.
We do. This is our first in-studio guest. This is a it is.
Yeah, it is.
We've had guests via the miracles of the internet, and now this is our first in-studio guest. We're joined by LJ Pena, head honcho of Invader League, and also now kind of
the LVO shot caller.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal for LVO now. LJ, how you doing, man?
Thank you guys for having me on in an official capacity and not over the wonders of the internet.
Yes.
My also other claim to fame that was not mentioned is I have a 1-0 lead versus Josh in actual real life games.
I don't know if you've listened to the show much. None of us are really any good. So I don't know how much I would trumpet that.
I mean, yeah. I punched out a 5th grader the other day. That was pretty good, so I'm feeling good about that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, same. That's good. So, anyways, thanks for joining us. You're up here for some vacation time, right?
Yeah, we had a military ball that we did. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm a drill weekend. Yes.
Officially.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's military ball events, that kind of stuff, whatever.
Well, we got that out of the way and then, had some spare time to come say hi officially because, again, you guys are helping with LVO and we've talked before and done the show. So I was like, hey, why not try to say hi, meet everybody in person, and come on for another episode.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. So let's talk Invader League, man. Let's for those of you who aren't familiar, Invader League is the tabletop simulator using the Star Wars Legion module, and LJ runs a league. How many folks are in that league?
So we had about 67 total entries and about 60 active players by the end of the round robin.
By the end of the round robin.
That's so really good.
For how many games did each player play for round robin?
So each player had to play 4 games. There were 5 group players in each group, and so they played 4 games, and then the top 2 from each group move on to a single elimination, which starts in just a couple days.
So the round robin is complete. Mm-hmm. What have you seen kind of data trend-wise as far as all of the games round robin? Like, how many people are playing Imperials? How many people are playing Rebels?
And how awesome are Wookiees now?
And how awesome are Wookiees? We'll get to that. We're going to talk about the
I feel like
content
I have to
here
ask for John
in a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. What have you seen? What kind of data trends, just in general, have you seen from the round robin play?
So for the 60 players that made up the final round robin group, we had 32 Empire, 28 Rebels.
Wow.
We started out with actually a greater amount of Empire, and then it shifted more towards the middle. Interestingly enough, as we're moving into the single elimination, we have 13 Rebels and 11 Imperials. So even though they were on the shorter end, they have the majority of elimination players, which I thought was interesting.
Wow, yeah.
In total, we were supposed to play 120 games, and we played 97 of those after buys and people that didn't
some of
make
the
the
active
commitment.
Players, the difference between the signed up and the active players,
which honestly was fantastic.
Yeah, that
because last time we had 90 games for the round robin, and we played about 60 of them.
Okay.
So I saw an improvement, even though we had more players and more games. The number of actual played games went up by like 15%, 20%, which was fantastic. So that was pretty cool. Cross-faction, just Rebel versus Imperial non-mirror match. We had 19 Rebel wins versus 19 Empire wins. So with the 2 factions squaring off, and this is with, keep in mind, the unreleased content that's in there, we actually had Rebels take a swing this time, which didn't surprise me because if you remember from the other episode we did, I had talked about that. I kind of predicted that. I thought with the tools that Rebels had at their disposal, they were going to win more games, and it seems like that was the case. Even though there were more Empire players, in the head-to-head matchups, the Rebels actually had the majority.
So they're playing with the full panoply of Palpatines and Chewbacca's and...
The only caveat is, so we have a parity system. So if one side gets something, the other side has to have something that is equal.
Okay.
And so because the scout snipers, and Saboteurs did not make it in time for the round robin to start, the Rebels did not have those either. And so that you have to look at the data in a bit of a vacuum, because not only do you have the unreleased units, but you had a couple little things that were missing. But for the most part, everything that we've seen made it in. So
Nice.
that influenced the numbers. But again, even without the Rebels having that sniper advantage over the Imperials, they still were on average winning more games. And so some of the other interesting data points that I was looking at, so there is you're scored in your group by your win-loss and then your victory points. And victory points is just the margin of victory that you win over your opponents on objectives.
Mm-hmm.
So if I win, let's say I win key positions 2-1, I get a victory and 1 victory point. And so I also kind of looked at how often we saw certain objectives, deployments, conditions, kind of thinking, okay, did they affect how many of each faction won a game, stuff like that. And so I'm looking at all the objectives, deployments, and conditions. The most played objective was intercept the transmissions. And out of 97 games, 32 of those were intercept the transmissions, so a full third. In those matchups, Rebels won 10, Empire won 6. Recover the supplies was second, followed by moisture vaporators, key positions, and breakthrough. We only had 8 breakthrough games compared to the 32 intercept the transmissions. So that was the least favorite one. And I think looking at these, I can tell that they're influenced by the number of victory points you could get over your opponent. Intercept the transmissions has the bigger swing versus low number of points versus your winner having a higher number of points.
Sure.
So what we did was we capped it so you could only get 3 victory points from a win. You couldn't come away with more than that. So if I won 10-2, I wouldn't get 8 points. I'd only get 3. So I think that helped, but you could see that players still gravitated towards that because it's easier to come away with more points on your win.
I mean, you set up in the middle of the board, so there's less, placement isn't quite as big a thing with advantage there. So I get that.
And key positions, obviously we've talked about that. Having a big advantage.
Not familiar with that one.
We didn't
Sounds
house
fun.
rule it. Yeah. We didn't mess with it at all. We
Played
just
as written.
we let it be just to see what would happen. And actually, that was the second least played objective, with only 10 people playing it.
Wow.
In that matchup, so.
Do you think that comes from people just realizing that it's just a broken card? It's a broken condition.
So they just avoid it.
It's
flip
too
it whenever
easy
they
to
can.
game.
I think they flipped it whenever they could. However, with the people that I talked to, their battle decks had it. The blue players had it for sure.
Okay.
They didn't. I don't think they got rid of it out of I don't agree with this card. I'm just not going to touch it. But I am sure that it was flipped as often as possible.
Okay.
Because it came up in less than 10% or around 10% of games. But in that, the Rebels and the Empire were actually even. And we had Orchimedes, Never Tell Me the Odds, ask people if they had won any of those key positions as red. And as far as we can tell, nobody had.
Ooh, wow.
Which makes sense.
It's a broken card.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's a pretty small sample size, but still.
Yeah, if that's the results we're seeing across the board, it makes sense to me that that would be the case. I was hoping that maybe we'd get an Imperial Boba player on the red player, and they'd be able to use the bounty to get a point and win. Or at least even it up. But as far as I could tell, and I had streamed a good number of games, I didn't see that. I didn't see anybody come away with those. So that was the objectives. With deployment, major offensive was actually the most used. And surprisingly, battle lines was the least used. And that kind of surprised me. Because, I know, if you're playing physically in tabletop, people just want to sit there. They don't want to have to move their stuff and all that.
That's true. It removes that lazy element,
And I find that in real-life games, I gravitate towards it. But
I guess I'll be the player that's on this side of the table.
If I have to.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that Disarray actually had one more play than Battle Lines. Disarray had 10 compared to Battle Lines 9.
Disarray's fun.
Disarray's fun. I like it. I think it's a fun card to play.
I would prefer Battle Lines.
Yeah.
Well, and so here's the fun nugget from that. There were 6 mirror matchups out of those 10, but out of the 4 non-mirrors, Rebels won all 4, which I thought was interesting. And I think that might have to do with you're more tempted to take 2 commanders because you've got the easy Leia option, and maybe they could control their forces better. I think maybe that had something to do with it, but I thought that was an interesting nugget.
Yeah.
And then, so major offensive was the most with 41. Then far behind it was advanced positions at 23, long march with 14, and disarray with 10, battle lines with 9. And on the opposite side of that coin, Empire won more long march matches than Rebels, which probably surprises nobody because they've tended to got the longer range firepower, and that works in their favor a lot of times. And then the conditions, least interesting ones, though I guess you could maybe come away with something from this, was that rapid reinforcements was actually the most played one.
Wow.
At 30 out of 97. So
That's
third
a significant
was
portion,
rapid.
Yeah.
And
do you think a lot of that has to do, because a lot of the chatter I've heard just around the water cooler here locally is that rapid reinforcements is going to be really fun with E-webs.
Yeah,
or snipers being able to drop them in behind enemy lines or something like that. Where do you think that's the reason why that's so popular?
Because there weren't snipers in this Invader League meta.
Sure,
I think the number of FDs was overrepresented with how players will probably play them once they're actually released.
Oh, okay.
And so I think there was a correlation there because people wanted to drop the FDs down because we did rule that FD have the trooper keyword, and so they were allowed to be dropped down with rapid reinforcements. And so I think people enjoyed being able to use that. I will talk about E-webs and FDs in a little bit because there's more to dig into with that. But so rapid was the most, followed by hostile environment, which happened last time too. Hostile was like one of the first or the second. So people just enjoyed it. They dealt with it. Followed by Limviz, Minefield, and Clear Conditions was the least played condition card.
What?
Yeah, we're masochists in Invader League.
What kind of crazy pseudo weird virtual reality do you live in?
Yeah, I don't know. And things were pretty even amongst who won those matchups. In hostile environment, that was the real standout one was Rebels won 11 and Empire won 4 in hostile.
Huh. Okay.
So I don't know if that has something you could dig into that more, but that was the only stat that was really different. So that's just like a by the numbers breakdown of some of the interesting trends that we noticed when we just broke this data down like last night. So this is all games.
Do they report in all of these things, or do you have a way to get the feeds of the games so you can actually pull like lists and results?
When you report your game, you report who won, who lost, the condition cards that you used.
Okay.
And then the victory or the objective points on each side. And then the form does all the rest of the work for us.
Oh, okay.
So we are directly getting the battle card data.
Wow.
Submitting your list was optional because you can change lists in between your games. And you knew what map you were going to play on. So you could tailor your list to each map, which I like that. I think it was fun to see the strategy because you could either try to get really good with one list and play it through all 4 games or tailor to the different maps. And so it was cool to see some of that strategy. And I did get some of that feedback, but we get better feedback during the elimination phase because then you have to choose one list.
Okay.
So
you're locked in.
On our website here in a little bit, because people are still submitting their list, but by Tuesday, I think it is, you should see all 24 single elimination lists and be able to look at that.
How long until we have a clear victor?
It'll be the first week of November.
Cool.
Or so.
Well, I guess we'll have to have a second part of this.
Yeah.
So the maps that you guys play on, I've seen pictures of the maps on table. Oh, those are so cool. Those are great maps.
I'm so excited because the Bestman map, which is one of the ones we get the best feedback on. That was the clear winner when I asked people which map they thought was the favorite. So we made that map using files from Dan Wolf Games because that's terrain that they make and sell.
Oh.
And so you can get that terrain if you like it. The cool thing that we're doing is he is actually going to be bringing that and or sending it, he doesn't know if he's coming or not, to LVO.
Nice.
So we are going to make...
So we can do some Bestman maps.
We are going to make that map from Invader League.
A table
at LVO.
Great.
Yeah, that is too cool.
Love it.
So we are so excited for that. That's going to be
community.
I know, right? Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, and I'll bring this up now because we had talked about it earlier, but I think the things that this community does for this game is the reason it'll continue on into year 2. I mean, the community has put this game on its back. And the support that I have seen as someone who has done Invader League. I mean, Invader League is a national or, a worldwide tournament that anybody can join. And, it's a virtual thing. You can't physically meet and talk to people. It's just not the same as doing a tournament at a con. But I had $675 in prize support for it.
It's pretty good.
Pretty
good
for that.
Yeah.
And it's these people that have stepped up and they've created a business, they've run a podcast, they've done something to contribute to the community that has honestly brought it to the next level. And it's fantastic to see that.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about some units.
Okay.
Because you guys get all the shinies. Yes. Here's what we really want to know. And nobody cares about Wookiees, so we're not even going to talk about them. Ha, John.
Yeah, I think you're right. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Wookiees.
I mean, I'm an Empire player, so.
So let's talk a little bit about...
in that there's
no snipers.
Labor is why you care about Wookiees.
So no snipers, but let's talk about Wookiees, Royal Guard, emplacements. What kind of trends are you guys seeing as far as what's getting used the most, what's overperforming, what's been disappointing?
So we've gotten data from around half of our players. We ran a quick survey this last week just to kind of see what people thought of some of these newer units and how often they had used them. So we've got the tournament started the first week of September, and so we did this survey based on unreleased and new units. So we did ask questions about Han and Commandos, as well as Boba that was about to come out, stuff like that. And so we asked players by faction some questions. So we asked the Imperials, did you use Boba in the majority of your games? Vast majority said yes, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Scouts, vast majority said no. And I only saw one game where I saw somebody use scouts. But again, Sans heavy weapons. So they were using them as badass fleets.
Gotcha.
But even the player that did, that I saw, didn't really get a lot of mileage out of them.
Okay.
So base scouts not making a splash yet.
I'm sure once the next league that has sniper rifles and all that kind of, we'll see a big swing.
For the single elimination, I'm very excited to see.
Oh, are they going to be introduced there for
that
that
portion?
Yeah.
So
nice.
we take a look at the rules, the points, the cards at the halftime and say, okay, let's change this. And
that's cool.
The only thing that's going to be changed, we're not changing any command cards. We're not changing any points costs because we did have to pick a cost for Chewie. We went with 110. Because I had talked to some people, worked with some sources, and that's what we ended up on. But the only unit change is the addition of snipers and saboteurs on both sides.
Okay.
And that was actually one of the questions I asked in the survey was, are you planning on using snipers in the single elimination? We'll talk about that in a second. I got to say the most controversial unit, as far as are they good, are they terrible, has been the Royal Guard.
Really?
People can't make up their mind on if they're going to be awesome or if they're a waste of points.
I think that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's been I've seen a lot of mixed reviews, and then we've got about a 40-60 split.
Are they running them with Vader? Is my question.
I've seen a lot, a ton of Vader. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why you'd use them without Vader. And all the players that I casted their games, I believe, used them with Vader.
Oh, okay.
But we've got about a 40-60 split. 40 said they did not, or they used them in majority of your game. 60 did not. So less Imperial players used them.
Okay.
But some people still tried them out, which was good. I don't think I saw a single game with Palpatine.
Wow.
Palpatine, we don't know. There's some force powers there to be spoiled, I believe.
Sure.
And we knew 2 of his command cards, but again, the way the parity system worked out was his 3-pip was not legal. His 1-pip was. So, but I really don't think an entire Legion had any bearing on whether people used him or not. I think at the moment, without knowing his other force powers, a lot of people just simply found him too expensive.
Okay.
And opted for Veer's Boba. Because that's the same points.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we didn't see a lot of Palpatine use. I'm hoping somebody picks them up for the single limb. E-Webs were no, they did not use a majority of them in their games.
That's interesting to me.
I'm going to talk about the eWeb comments because last time we talked, I was mixed on eWebs, and I'm going to bring some of the data in here in a minute. But we actually have a majority did not use eWebs. For the Imperials' favorite new unreleased unit was Boba, followed by the Royal Guard, followed by the eWeb. Nobody answered Palp. Nobody answered Scouts. But again, pre-sniper.
Right. Sure. Okay.
So that opinion will probably change. And that was about 50% of the responses in total from the survey were Imperial. So it was evenly split by the factions, which was good. Moving on to the Rebel side, it was about a 50-50 split on if people used Han or a lot. I saw a lot of interesting Han play. Mm-hmm. And for players that like to play mind games with their opponents, talking to you, Nick Freeman, honestly, they love him because his command cards can cause just total mayhem with your opponent's plan.
Yeah.
And that's something that we had recently talked about because you don't get that in Tabletop Simulator because you can't physically read somebody and mess with them as easily. You can you
got voice chat.
You voice chat, but it's not the same. Yeah. And so that was actually an interesting thing that maybe people can dig into. But the majority of them had not used Han, but it was almost 50-50. It was pretty close. A majority of people did not use Chewie. I think, again, they found his point costs too expensive. But I will tell you that the people that did use him faithfully during the round robin loved him.
Oh, okay.
So
more than meets the eye than what's on paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Han, Leia, Chewie is pretty potent. I think people are realizing that for like the Wookiees and Chewies that have the larger health pool, it can take a long time to chew away.
Yeah, and it's an absurd amount of action economy and synergy between the three of them.
So
absolutely insane.
That was a big one that I think people
hold
discovered.
on to your fear, Josh.
Yeah. We, unlike the Scouts, there were a couple people that used the Commandos in majority of their games. So people tried the naked ones because they're just upgraded Rebel troopers. So people were willing to try that.
Yep, I was surprised by them when last time I tried them. So
did you use Wookiees in a majority of your games was 50-50 split across Rebels.
Oh, okay.
So some of them used them once and then kept using them. Some of them didn't use them at all or tried it and then stopped.
Okay.
And all these questions are a majority of your games. Sure. So, half or more. And the Wookiees were about half.
Nice. Okay.
But I'll save the Wookiee comments for the end. And the FD was almost the same, but a majority. So it was about 60-40 in favor of the FD in a majority of your games. So once players used them, they kept using it. And again, I think some of that has to do with the no scout vacuum. Or no sniper vacuum.
Right.
So I want to see how many people are still using the FDs when we get to the single elimination next week. Yeah. So we'll see what things look like. And so for Rebels, their favorite unreleased unit was Wookiees.
Oh.
That got the vote for their favorite unreleased unit, followed by Commandos and Han split evenly, and then Chewbacca and the FD split evenly. Okay. So Wookiees actually had the majority at about 33% of the vote for the unreleased units.
Nice.
And that's just from the Rebel players. I didn't ask both sides that
question.
Yeah. So
keep your opinion to yourself.
Yeah, right. One of the big data points that I thought was interesting was that, so I asked the question for all factions, will you be taking snipers in the elimination phase? And that was 80%. Yes.
Yeah.
80%.
80%. That's
so. Actually, I mean, it's pretty big. And there was one person that actually said no, and then one person that said I haven't decided yet. So the other 28 were like yes.
Uh-huh.
So and again, we got about half the people that played in the round robin to submit to the survey in time. So there's other people that were left out of this.
Well, the one that's undecided will probably end up taking it, and the other one that said no is probably just lying to themselves.
Yeah. We'll think about you fondly at the finals.
Oh, you're the non-sniper guy. I heard about you.
That's like me taking Vader with no saber throw.
Yeah. Well, this is why you lost the game today.
Yeah.
Wait, did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he didn't take
Vader.
Veers,
yeah.
So one of the other, I think, very telling questions that I asked was which faction is better? And this was everybody. This wasn't do you think your faction is the best? This is everybody just asking.
Let me guess. Rebels all said Imperials are better. Imperials all said Rebels are better.
I had 43% say neither. So almost 50% said things are balanced where they are.
Dude.
Only 13% said Imperial.
That doesn't surprise me.
The other 43% was Rebels.
Wow.
So the Rebels and the neither was split even, and then Imperials filled in the gaps.
That doesn't surprise me.
And again, this is non-sniper meta.
Yeah.
And so I know certain things are going to change the game, but even with, Boba, who's a great utility tool, and the creative ways that I saw people using Royal Guard. By the way, Royal Guard with new ways to motivate them is fantastic. Throw tenacity, and you've given yourself a free red attack die. It's beautiful. Even with those strategies coming into play, we saw with the number of wins that Rebels got in head-to-head matches, and this polling as well, saw them come out on top, which is again very very concurrent with what I had mentioned a month or however long it was ago when we last talked. I was pretty sure that by this point Rebels were going to be on top, and I'm honestly not sure that the tools Imperials are getting by, let's say, LVO are going to change that. I think maybe we'll see some people get creative with some of these new units coming out, but getting on to the last part of this where I ask over and underperformed, did you exceed expectations? Did this unit under? I don't know if the new units that are coming out are going to shake the game up for Imperials in a way that are going to make them even more competitive.
Well, we must have faith in our Emperor Palpatine to shake things up when we get all of his cards spoiled.
I hope there's a Force Speed card in there.
Oh.
Because then units like Vader and even Palpatine are going to take on a new life. So we'll just have to see. But so
get those hoverboards and just start scooting across the field. It's
yep.
Gonna be amazing.
Well, you should try spinning. I hear it's a good trick.
It's a good trick. I mean, come on. All the best pilots in the galaxy agree.
So I asked all factions what new unreleased unit exceeded your expectations the most. And so that wasn't just your faction. That was pick one thing from both factions that you think exceeded.
Okay.
And on the Imperial side, it was Boba. A lot of people agreed that he exceeded their expectations.
Wow, because I think people were probably really expecting a lot for him and to have it exceed that even further. That's crazy.
They were. I think people are realizing that he's a high skill cap piece.
Oh,
you can, and Josh and I, we talked about this at the end of our game, but you can use him very efficiently, and he's a great, kind of striker like Luke is, where he can get in there and do a lot of damage. But if you get him too exposed, if you make a wrong move with him, if your opponent gets him in a corner, 5 health doesn't actually last that long.
No,
Surge be damned. He can still go down.
Yeah.
Especially with the amount of units that have Pierce. And,
his
and
impervious to Pierce doesn't make him impervious to Pierce.
Yeah, no, he's not invulnerable. He's just nigh invulnerable.
It just gives you a better chance.
Yeah. And so I think on the not Boba side of things, people were surprised by Imperial Royal Guard. They, as I said, they're a bit divided on that, but they liked him.
I like it when there's not just like, this is a clear-cut superior unit. Everybody's going to take this. If there's some divisiveness on it, or people are not sold, or maybe it doesn't suit their play style, great. I like to have options, and it's just up to how you play it, how you build your list, and how you want to support whatever troops you're bringing.
On the Rebel side, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 votes for Wookiees. And this is 30 people took the survey. 8 out of 30, and they had to choose one from either faction, voted for Wookiees. So Wookiees were actually the unit that was mentioned most as exceeded expectations.
Wow, okay.
So a very positive turn for Wookiees. And people are actually getting into their shooting.
With the bowcaster and the pistols?
You think with Wookiees and like the unhindered and just the general close combat shenanigans that you can do with them, you'd think they'd be picked more for that ability. But people honestly liked their shooting. They enjoyed using the bowcaster with its Pierce.
Yeah.
And with Rebels getting more access to Pierce, the more releases come out. It seems.
Yeah, that is nice.
You could make an all Pierce army almost. Well, you could have like Luke and Leia,
Commandos,
and
Wookiees,
fleet troopers, and commanders, and Wookiees, and everything in your army has Pierce.
Yep.
And I think that's what people kind of started
Suck
to pick
on
up
those
on.
red dice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy to think about, but that's what people are doing. Now, with the Wookiees, what a lot of people mentioned was that they don't recommend you take too many of them because Wookiee squads can get expensive very quickly, and they take up what a lot of people have called valuable sniper spots. So the people that have played with the snipers in real life and are like now looking at, okay, well, when these Wookiees come out, what can I do to start altering my list? I think we'll see a very comfortable meta of 2 snipers, 1 Wookiee. Yeah. And then the Wookiee is your utility unit. You can use it to run up to line of sight blocking terrain, pop out, charge something, or use it to back up, a flank that you think is going to be weak. Because what the real strength of the Wookiees were the wounds. I mean, 3 wounds a model is a lot. And when you're positioning them carefully behind heavy cover, it's like you'll shoot at somebody and you'll get 2 hits through the cover, 3 hits through the cover. And, with Wookiees, it's like, you'll put a couple wounds on them, but they still have all 4 models or all 3 models.
Do we know if they were running them with any extra upgrades beyond like bowcaster or anything?
Tenacity.
Almost
universally tenacity.
Nice.
Because why not? It's 4 points for a free red die in close combat. Why would you not take tenacity?
That sounds fantastic. Yeah.
Like somebody put tenacity on Boba. Because it's like now his boot spikes are even
super
better.
Kicking boots, yeah.
It's like it's 4 points. If you have an awkward space in your list, what unit cannot benefit from
Makes
that
more
card?
sense than like the environmental gear or something.
Yeah.
Or climbing ropes.
Yeah. Well, and that actually one of the things that people have started to do they've talked about as we moved into the single elimination is put the climbing gear on the snipers. That's what they've talked a lot about. Just to really get them in those positions without losing a model.
That makes sense.
Stuff like that. That's been very big. So that's exceeded expectations.
Nice.
Now we get to the bottom half of the order.
Which units didn't really live up to what people thought they were going to do?
The E-Web was universally agreed to not perform anywhere near that people thought it was going to.
Okay, why? Why is that? Because it seems with the ability to move, unlike it's surprising to me that so many people like the tower, but not the E-Web, when one can move and the other one just sits there.
But the other one's not just sitting there and throwing more dice at things.
I think, with the FD, again, got to look at it in a vacuum.
Yep.
It wasn't threatened by snipers. And with the ability to, as you saw with the data, rapid reinforce and use stuff like intercept the transmissions to dictate exactly where the objectives are going to be, you can manipulate those 2 factors to get FD coverage.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why you saw the FDs being more successful.
Beyond those control parameters, they may not be.
I think I'm sure we're going to see a huge drop off in their usage for single elimination. And in a month, we'll see. I mean, really, in a couple days, we'll see if that's true or not because we'll know all the lists. Yeah. So we'll see if the FDs stayed or if they were dropped for other stuff. The E-Web was by far the unit that was mentioned the most. Something like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, around 10. So around a third of the responses were just that one unit. And other stuff that was brought up. Again, Royal Guard was brought up on both sides of the fence.
Okay.
There were actually a couple people that put Boba. There was 2 people that put Boba. And I think that's because, as I mentioned, like that high skill cap. It can be hard to use them correctly.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. But really the E-Web. The E-Web was not only did people put the E-Web, but people would put E-Web with comments.
Wow.
So like they like a lot of people just put
we're gonna blog about this
responses,
for a while.
But they blogged about it. One person said only use them a little. Don't think it added much to the Imperial Army. Don't do enough work. Somebody said it isn't being played or utilized to its full potential, so it might take some time to figure out how to use it.
I found the E-Web in my game was a little racist. It was kind of off-putting.
Oh, man. We'll make a podcast about racist E-Webs at a later date. I know there's somebody in the Discord that really liked using E-Webs in conjunction with Vader and Force Pull. and so have the E-Webs stand by and then Vader pull them into somebody. Had found some success with that, so I don't know if
let's spend like 250 points making sure our E-Webs are being utilized to their maximum potential.
Yeah, what people are finding that the lack of range hurts, compared to the FD, which is range 4.
Sure.
The mobility hurts, the health pool hurts.
Yeah.
Because it's got the same save as Stormtroopers, so people not making as many of those as they would like. And somebody said, which I thought was an interesting point, I was never able to effectively use it to stop trooper units from advancing. And so people are using it as like a stopgap,
a suppression,
suppression, or even like and a lot of people took them naked. They didn't take barrage or
any of the generators.
Impact.
Oh, okay.
I will say that for the E-Webs and for the FDs, I saw a lot of them with no upgrades.
That's really surprising.
Well, because especially I think this matters more for the FD. If you have your FD in a position or the game changes and the FD cannot shoot at anything, then you're wasting 70 plus however many points you've dumped into upgrades.
Sure.
So if you've dumped a barrage generator on there and it's now 80 points, that's near, that's 10% of your army that can do nothing. And you're throwing away 10% of your points.
Or is it locking down and anchoring that portion of the board?
It could be. And that's why I think you saw players influence the game with stuff like Intercept and Rapid. Because they wanted to ensure that it could do something like that.
Okay.
Its saves are not that impressive.
No.
But its ability to sit somewhere and throw 6 black dice out and aim are great.
Yeah.
With the E-Webs, I saw a couple people uplink them, and I think those people found more success because they could better dictate what the E-Webs did.
And how they, okay.
So I think that helps some people, and the Veers likes E-Webs because of Imperial Discipline.
Yeah.
Because if you uplink and barrage your E-Webs, then you refresh all of that at the same time.
Yeah.
So some people use them in clever ways like that. But yeah, that was the one that I think, basically let people down the most from the comments that I saw. And I asked for some additional comments. Some of those comments were like, the FD is probably not going to be as good once snipers take the field.
Yeah.
Snipers are going to change the field massively.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote, Han, Leia, and Chewie are legit.
Yeah.
And somebody said, I said Boba Fett was a negative, but I think he can be very good. People need more practice as he is different from the rest of the Imperial Army.
Okay.
Fly better.
There you go.
He can.
So that was some of the talking points that I had found, and I think we're looking forward to seeing how these units change over time as we get into the single elimination. As far as what the single elimination looks like, I told you that there were 13 rebels and 11 Imperials. We were almost dead even. The top seeded Imperial player is actually an Imperial player. So even though out of the top 10, 8 out of the top 10 are Rebel, the highest seeded player is an Imperial player. And he had 4 wins, 0 losses, and 11 victory points. And as I said, you could only get 3 per match max.
So he had a max of 12.
He almost maxed. Maxed his matches.
That's pretty good.
And then Orchimedes from Never Tell Me the Odds, he was actually the guy in second place with 4 wins and 10 victory points. So he was pretty close.
Nice.
Can we give him the Grand Admiral Thrawn Award for if he gets to finish out the series in first?
Sure.
The Master Tactician.
Cool.
But yeah, looking at that, it was interesting to see that even amongst all the the Rebel wins across the board, that it was still an Imperial player, and an Imperial player that's actually very well known for playing Vader.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the better known is a bit of a way of saying it, but he's known for using Vader very effectively.
Oh, okay.
Yes, infamous. There we go.
One of the things I love about Invader League is you have all the toys. We can sit here and talk about the meta that will be. Right, it's not the meta we got now, but
get a little peek into the future,
and you really get a good idea as to what's going to be good. Granted, you're not playing with snipers, things like that, but it's really great to see what these units are actually going to play like once they get released.
Mm-hmm.
I know coming from X-Wing, we would see ships that would get announced and then they'd get spoiled and previewed, and everybody's like, oh, wow, this looks like it's going to be really good. And people would come up with lists and everything, and then they'd hit the table, and you're like, God, this ship kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's great to see Invader League out there kind of doing that work for us ahead of time.
Yeah.
So
let us harvest all the fun data. Yeah.
But it also takes away some of that trial and error.
Yeah.
Because I know as a gamer, it's never any fun when you take something and you theory craft it and you think, ooh, this is going to be good, and then it isn't. So thanks for doing all that theory crafting for us.
It's like a front row seat to a beta test.
Yeah, basically, right.
And honestly, overall, it sounds very positive for the most part. With the few exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a few months ago when you were on, and the Wookiees were kind of like, and now they seem really like a very viable solution for Rebels. So that's exciting stuff.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger points that we really didn't get to talk about a lot I think I forgot them because I didn't see them a lot, was backtracking a little bit, the officers. I realized I didn't really mention the specialist, and of course we only know of one real one at the moment, the generic officer and the officer upgrade. And I think on the whole, the command cards that the characters come with are the best.
Are they?
Some of the command cards you get with Luke, Leia, Han, Veers, Boba, Vader, you can't replace them. They're good.
Yeah.
And so I don't think people had a lot of success or got a lot of use out of the generic officer leader.
Okay.
However, I know a lot of people really enjoyed the squad upgrade. Think of stuff like fleets and snows. When you get rid of their action economy, their effectiveness goes down tremendously.
Yeah, okay.
And so, like for me, like when I play games with people on Tabletop Simulator, I love to use snows with officers because then you can keep that one suppression on you. I don't care because I have 2 courage. You get both your actions in, which is critical for snows,
and you get cover,
and you get a free point of cover.
Nice.
And so, and if you keep a couple of those squads together, they do get the ability that Veers has to get rid of a point of suppression, and they can just build off each other. So if like this squad to your right has 2 suppression on them, well, now I activate, now they're down to 1, and like they can kind of support each other in that way, which is kind of cool. But not a lot of people talked about or mentioned those, which is why I kind of skipped right over them.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, if they're not writing comments or it's showing up in the data, but that actually sounds really good.
Yeah, so not as much on the generic leader because command cards are powerful for the named people.
Right.
However, the officer upgrades, I think, did get some use, which was good. And then the other one I forgot to talk about was we did also have the 2 spoiled generic command cards. The Sabotage Communications and the other one, the Imperial one. Nobody used the Imperial one. Sorry, FFG. The Imperial one's kind of dumb right now. Because if I'm playing against Leia and Luke, I know what command cards they're going to have. There's not enough variety in this game for there to be a mystery yet.
Right.
The Imperial one lets you look at 2 command cards
Something like that,
from the other hand, and then you put them back.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Sabotage, I saw used effectively a couple times. Sabotage, I think, is actually going to be... I mean, it depends on what commanders you take as a rebel, but I think that one's actually going to become fairly commonplace after a while because... Let's say I use, a 3-pip that lets me control a good part of my army. Now you only get to use, probably 1 unit instead of 3 units. So,
I could see the other one becoming useful once we have like the Han, Leia, Chewie, thing going on.
Synergy,
then they don't have the ability. You actually have to pick and choose what's going into your command, and so you being aware of what's coming on. Oh, okay, Han shooting first. I get it.
Yeah. Now I know that they took
for sure.
reckless diversion.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other options, it might be useful down the road. Now, not so much.
Yeah, by and large, they're just supposed to be kind of meh options that fill up your hand because they're just crappy leaders.
All right, so we're getting short on time here. So real quick, you're also in addition to Invader League. What's that?
I got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
In addition to Invader League, you're also heading up a lot of the effort at LVO. So you've been teasing boards and prize support. Real quick, let's tell us a little bit about some of the stuff coming up for LVO. So for those people who haven't signed up yet or haven't made the decision to make the trip, if you're maybe in Arizona or Salt Lake or
Spoiler, yeah, the more people will get signed up, the more table space
Right.
and everything.
Exactly. So how many signups do we have right now? And then tell us a little bit about some of this awesome prize support that you guys have lined up.
Yeah, so I don't know why, but for some reason I'm in charge of LVO, the Legion tournament. I honestly, it had nothing to do with Invader. I just asked the right person at the right time, and they were like, "You do this thing."
Forward,
yes.
and everybody else stayed in line.
And
okay,
so, having played in like the tabletop, the Warhammer community for a while, and going to some of these tournaments, I was like, well, I've ran stuff like this, and I think I could do it. And this is year one of this game. Mm-hmm. There's no best strategy yet. There isn't. People are still figuring this stuff out. And so an opportunity to be part of the competitive scene so early on was something that I really wanted to try, but also use as an opportunity to continue to grow this game. Mm. And LVO is going to be a celebration of the community. Because if anything is going to keep this game going past year one, it's because people like yourselves and the people that make terrain and all these companies that are out there have put this game on their back and have stepped forward and done something to get people interested and to continue your interest past the beginner's box. And so what we're going to do at LVO is we're going to try to celebrate that community in different ways. Nice. We're going to have the businesses represented on the table numbers. We've got people that have sponsored, a lanyard. So when you walk in, everybody's going to walk out with an event lanyard. We have models that we're giving away, mats that we're giving away, terrain that we're giving away at the end of the event.
Oh, boy.
Because so many of these community members have come forward and been like, yes, I want to help out with this. This is honestly, it's been the easiest event to start setting up because so many other people want to come forward and help with it, which has been fantastic.
Yeah.
So right now we've got 32 total that have registered for the event, that have actually registered for the tournament, which 4 months out, that's great because honestly, Frontline, from what I understood, was hoping for 20. So we're already exceeding their expectations. And that's why you had mentioned...
Well, now it's time to blow it out of the water.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Well, and you had mentioned signing up now is because they've actually got around the same number of tables locked in for us as we do have entries. And so the more people that we have register now, we'll start to edge other things out of the space and get more tables. Right now, I don't have to cap the number of people that can go in the tournament. But the closer we get to 40... and depending on how many tables we get, the likelier that's going to become. So if you're on the fence, if you've never been to a convention before, we want LVO to be the premier Legion tournament. We want it to be a celebration of our hobby, and we want it to be one of the biggest, events of the year for competitive Legion because we'd like to really use it as a meeting point for different community members to, meet the people that they're working with, and also for us to celebrate the competitive side of Legion, really show, how awesome it can be, what this higher level of play looks like. And if you've never been to a convention before, this is going to be a great one to go to because there are so many people that come from all over the place to play games at an awesome venue in Vegas, and you're not in nowhere. You're coming to Vegas.
Yeah. It's in a casino.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's a destination tournament in the best style because you can come to Vegas, you can enjoy the sights, the sounds. And currently, it's a 3-day con, and the tournament's only on Friday.
Right.
So if you want to go to painting seminars, of which there are so many because it's a big Warhammer tournament. If you don't know, there's so much else to do there, and I think for some people it'll be easier for them to convince their spouses, their significant others, their family members.
Right.
I play one day, and then the rest of the
you
weekend.
get a spa day. Go pamper yourself at wherever. Yeah.
Yeah. I was able to convince I was able to convince my wife to come, and she's actually gonna take pictures and update like our social media stuff during the event because
cool.
she's gonna be taking pictures and uploading them on the day. So she'll be the one with the camera in the Endor Leia stuff. If you weren't sure.
Nice.
Well, that's the other thing. This is Vegas. We're making this tournament look like Vegas. Let me talk about those things real quick. So we have somebody that's going to be taking pictures dressed up. My marshal is a 501st guy, And so he, the guy that is essentially the judge for the tournament, is going to be in full Imperial officer regalia.
Oh, that's so cool.
And we also have a couple other fun theme things, as I said, the tables.
And John's onesie.
Yeah, he'll be in his Wookiee onesie.
Apparently. Yeah. Sorry, you have to do it now. We dared you.
Yeah.
Just don't let the Wookiee win.
We don't.
It's the one time you don't let the Wookiee win.
We've got a couple other fun ways I think we're going to theme the table. We've got custom objective tokens that have the event logo on them that everybody is going to get. Nice. I think it's sponsored by Rebel Lightworks. We have the 3,720 to 1 giveaway, which is very Vegas themed. We're going to use a bingo thing, and everybody who finishes all 4 of their games will get their name written on a ping pong ball, and we'll put it in the bingo thing. And when we call your name out, that means you've won a prize. Nice. And so some of those prizes are a master painted custom Luke and Vader figure, and they're both samurai style.
I think I've seen some of those.
Yeah, we've started to preview those. Those are fantastic.
Yeah.
War Sigil is donating 4 mats to us, and if you've seen some of the pictures online, they're like textured mats.
You got the grasses and whatnot on there. Yeah.
And so the top 4 tables is all terrain donated by Imperial Terrain, and then we're combining those with the War Sigil mats, and the War Sigil mats we're giving those away. At the end of part of the giveaway, and
so it
those
sounds like you can make some money back on this trip.
Those are some expensive mats that all you got to do is play 4 games, and you could walk away with and those figures
and be there for the drawing.
Yeah,
You can't just play 4 games and then leave. You got to hang around for.
Yeah, don't go hit the tables quite yet.
Yeah,
but it's not just hitting the tables, because after the cut, you have more stuff going on as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have the way the format works is there's a 4-round Swiss and then a top cut of 4 players. And those 4 players, number 1's going to play 4, 2's going to play 3.
Yep.
And the winner of those 2 games gets a maximum firepower qualifier spot. During those 2 hours of downtime, we're actually going to have a couple people that have come forward to run demos because, as I said before, this tournament the con is a large 40K tournament. And so what happens a lot is, you play a 5-round series, you've lost your first 2 games, you have no chance of going to the end. Mm-hmm. So you've always got these like disenfranchised Warhammer players that are like, this game is stupid. And,
hey, dummy, come fight for the real Emperor.
And we're gonna get them to come in and start playing Legion. And we've got Josh here doing the podcast has volunteered to do one of those. Yay. We have Power 9 Games here that's going to donate some terrain. We have John that's going to judge our painting contest. He's already agreed to it. This is not news to him. Yeah. You've got community members like that that are helping. We're going to run events on the side in that 2.5 hours or so in between the final and the giveaways, and we'll have an opportunity for to get new players in the game, hopefully. Fantastic. But also, if you came with a buddy or you know somebody and you've always wanted to like play a game with them, then all of the tables we use during the tournament, the terrain will stay on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if you'd like to play a game with with one of these community heads, or if you'd like to play one with a friend, or just do a pickup game while you're waiting for the giveaway, that'll be an option as well. And we've got 4 months. We've got time to add stuff into the event itself. We were originally going to try to make it a 2-day, but I think for now it is just going to be Friday. Okay. But if there are other suggestions for events,
well, when we show up with 200 players, they'll have to.
Yeah,
and I know we're going to try and run a meetup Thursday night.
Yeah, we'll firm up details on that, and then something else on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we were talking about like maybe a Thursday night thing to get some last minute practice in, and then Saturday we'd like to do like a dinner or something nearby, just to again get together and really celebrate the community,
meet each other, and have fun.
That'd be great.
So, people
before we roll dice in anger at each other.
Yeah,
awesome.
Well, and I'm telling all the people on some of the guys that I know from the Discord that are coming. I'm like, make sure you say hi because I'll finally get a chance to meet some of you in real life. So we're trying to peer pressure the guy that leads the Discord into making some T-shirts for us.
Right.
So we can give those out to the Discord members that go say hi to him and all that good stuff. So
will it be Team Barricada?
Hopefully not, but maybe we'll make a special one just for you.
You're the last sad member of that team.
Oh,
It's okay. We're gonna make sure we write a barricade a table.
We'll probably get some Outrider
and you know
shirts
what?
or something.
That's actually something that I totally forgot. We're not really changing anything. There's no like special rules things.
Okay.
There's no painting requirement. And of course, we're being very lax on some of the modeling stuff. We've answered some modeling questions already, clear base questions, stuff like that.
Josh.
Yeah.
Oh.
you can always look at the event packet for that kind of stuff. But that was actually one that you just reminded me of. Is every player is required to bring 2 barricades. So before blue player is determined and battle cards are pulled out.
So what you're saying is Power 9 needs to have a booth down there just selling
for
barricades for people who forgot. Yeah.
So
we'll finally clear them out, guys.
Yeah.
That is actually one of the requirements of the tournament is you have to bring barricades because before blue player is determined, you will place up to 2 barricades, I think it is, on the board.
Okay.
And I know that that it helped with some concerns of terrain at previous tournaments. And so we wanted an opportunity to, not only make our tables look awesome, but include the core set barricade, which is, I think, a fundamental piece of the game.
One more thing I've got to go paint now. Wonderful.
Oh, no, primer.
So, yeah, that's that. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something else, too, that I know some people in the competitive community might be interested to learn, is that the barricades are something that is going to be included in this tournament.
Well, since we're already bringing down terrain, I'll make sure to get a shopping bag full of barricades.
Barricades,
down
yeah.
to for just, you get a barricade. And you're like,
get a
stop throwing them.
barricade. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Well, it sounds like LVO's on track to be a really fun
Huge success.
event.
Yeah, I'm
so
excited.
Really looking forward to that. And then finally, speaking of rolling dice in anger, LJ and I played a game today, and about by the end of turn 3, I was really rolling dice in anger because he kicked my butt. So, yeah.
Did the anger feed you?
It did not.
No,
it did not.
Okay.
It did.
No,
So
It wasn't anger.
It was flowing through you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we had very similar. We had very
Yeah.
similar lists.
We did.
We're both Imperial players. We had both used boba and snipers. I had brought boba, 2 sniper teams, Veers, and then some snows and some stormtroopers. And then you had an almost similar list, just no snows and bikes.
Yeah, two units of bikes, which. I didn't fly them as well as I normally do.
It was a brawl in the center, which I think is probably why it ended. We ended at the end of turn 4. I think it was
because it was just and I think I didn't have as much cover as I would have liked, which forced me into a couple of more aggressive moves than I would have liked, which left me exposed and out some of my units went. But no, it was a good game. I really enjoyed it. It was the first time using boba, and you're right. It's something that you've really got to get used to using. I had a hard time trying to decide where I wanted to commit him into the battle, and the fact that everybody clumped up in the middle made it really hard. Because
if you commit him,
then 5 units could shoot him. Yeah. So it really made me kind of reluctant to commit him into the battle. But yeah, no, it was good. It was fun. Snipers are great.
Yeah.
Until you roll 2 black dice with a name token and get blanks.
4 blanks.
And then blanks again, which we both did.
Yep.
Well, at least the misery was shared.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
The best roll of the game was he had a shot with Veers on a unit of stormtroopers and only had 2 dudes left on it, or 3 dudes left on it, and he rolls crit surge, so 3 crits.
Nice.
I'm like, well, crap. These guys are going to die until I rolled 3 natural blanks or 3 natural hits.
It feels so good.
Yeah, it was nice. So it still took 1 for the Pierce, but it's nice. It's like, oh God, look at that, and then it's like, oh, thank you, red dice. Yeah.
And did you like? Because we tried the LVO rules. Did you
right?
like putting the barricades on pre-cards, or do you think
I would have liked it postcards?
Okay,
just because the way the board shook out. Because we had some MDF low walls that got put out, and the houses were I think I had more of the buildings and craters on my end, but there were more of those MDF barricades on the other end. So I was kind of, and we played advanced positions, and the way everything it almost ended up kind of long marchish, the way that we had the armies deployed, and the way that all of those MDF barricades were out, you were able, as blue player, you were able to pick the end that kind of had ones that were more parallel to the short edges of the board. So I would have liked to have been able to post deployments, place some of those barricades, so maybe I had a little bit more cover advancing up the board.
Man,
but,
we just love gathering game data.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no. I'd have to see it played. I could see where that could be abused in key positions, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I'm the blue player. Here's a barricade. Here's a barricade, and then.
Well, hold on. We're going to print out a survey form for you. You can fill it all out,
right?
And then
everybody listening to this will take the survey,
right? Since you're house ruling the barricades, I would, if you do it post cards, I would do it so that you house ruled that those barricades are ineligible to be made key positions.
Postcards pre-deployment.
Yeah, postcards pre-deployment, but you can't key positions those things. Yeah.
Into the core concept of using extra barricades, though, in LVO, gentlemen?
I like it.
Sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
It gives you the one thing that always and it's part of that turn zero where you set up in the board, and sometimes the board is asymmetrically weighted, depending on where the cards end up. As we just saw today, the board might benefit one deployment position or one. If you get intercept the transmissions, and it just so happens that there's a building that's kind of offset center left, and you're on the right side, then you can go ahead and put that second token right behind a big piece of structure, and now they've got to go around that structure to get it. So there's always going to be things that you can't control on the board, but being able to have that opportunity to kind of define the battlefield a little bit yourself, I think is nice. And it's two barricades, so it's not like you're really throwing big hunks of scatter terrain down or anything like that. It's they're 5 inches, 2 5-inch barricades. I like the idea. I really like it.
Cool. Okay, that works for me.
What he said.
There you go.
John, your opinion.
Oh, he's in Wisconsin still. If you haven't noticed, folks, why there's no John is
Brewers.
He went back to the Wampa Cave.
Yeah.
He didn't like us anymore.
Hey, the Brewers were winning last time I checked my phone.
I don't like you either.
We're actually recording this on a Sunday because LJ's here in town. So we're taking this opportunity to do that. So that's and John took the opportunity to go back. We got kind of a long weekend because as federal workers we get Monday off. So he took that opportunity to go back home. So
Columbo Day.
Yeah. So all right, folks. Well, that's I think that's it. I think we got everything. That was a very expansive chat with LJ
this
here.
Extra large episode.
Yeah. So supersized. Woo.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
All right, yeah, LJ, thanks for joining us. You're
we'll probably be
you've
in touch
now been
soon.
on as many times as Nick Freeman has, so you're both BFFs of the show now.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Oh, if you kick me out, I become a one-night stand of the show. So.
Oh.
Well, 2 night stand.
2 night stand. Yeah.
So okay, fine. At this point, I'm more of a long-term booty call.
On the second day.
Just remember, what happens in Vegas stays here.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
I do appreciate you guys letting me come on again and invade your space for a little bit and play a game and all that good stuff. So
yeah, it's fun. Thanks for coming out, man. We really appreciate it.
And
so
for everybody that's listening, come to LVO. Make it the destination Legion event of your dreams here in fabulous Las Vegas. And to the invaders out there, thank you guys for playing. Hopefully you enjoyed the data, and we look forward to seeing you in the single elimination.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Legion Outriders podcast. He's LJ. That's Matt.
Word.
I'm Josh. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
You've been listening to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tatooine Network.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
For more from the Outriders, make sure you like us on Twitter @Legion Outriders, subscribe to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Legion Outriders, and make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for listening.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.